Bikes. Look at all these bikes. That was my dad's bike when he was in college. BMX bikes. Girl's bike just for parts. Oh, I forgot this tandem bike here. Got a tandem bike hanging from the ceiling. Got my aunt's old bike. Got my mountain bike. I got the trailer that the teachers at St. Philip Neri got me as part of my baby shower when Hillary, my wife, got pregnant with our first child with Bryce. I got my mountain bike. Got Hillary's bike. I got my touring bike right here. I'll tell you more about that in a moment. I got my single speed mountain bike. Got the welder. That'll come up in the story too. I got Bryce's bike here. We have Joel's new bike from Miss Doreen. Thank you, Miss Doreen. I have one of my old mountain bikes that we use some parts from. Got a moped. Got an electric motorcycle. We got a beach cruiser out here. We got a tag-along bike. We got a bike frame sitting there for some parts in the scrap metal pile. And we've got the tall bike. This is my newest bike combination of bikes. I'm pretty excited to share with you about this today. Susan B. Anthony called the bicycle the freedom machine, and I agree with her. Bikes have been a big part of my life for a long time. My first job was working at a bike shop. I've been able to do some great bicycle tours with some great friends. It's been an exciting way to see the country. The first bike tour that I ever did was from Seattle to Las Vegas. We started in Started in Seattle, went through Mount Rainier National Park, and then down the coast of Oregon, down the coast of California, all the way to San Francisco, and then cut inland and went to Yosemite. It was my first time ever being in Yosemite. These memories are fresh in my mind. I just got finished reading my friend Jeff that I was on that trip with. He's an author and he wrote a book about that bike tour, and I just got finished reading that to my boys as their bedtime story over the last month or so. So went from San Francisco over through Yosemite. It was our first time seeing Yosemite. Got to hike Half Dome and hike Yosemite Point, Yosemite Falls. From there, we left Yosemite. We kept going east over Tioga Pass, and then down, and then through Death Valley. Yes, that's right. I pedaled my bicycle, that touring bike that I showed you at the beginning. Pedaled my bicycle through Death Valley. We had to go through there at night because of the heat, and eventually finished in Las Vegas. So did that bicycle tour, done 2 other bicycle tours, one starting in Lake Tahoe, and then retracing our steps backwards to San Francisco, and then going down the coast of California to Los Angeles, and another bicycle tour where we started in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and then went up the Rockies and into Canada along the Icefields Parkway and got to see a lot of those parks. It's been an amazing experience with lots of great friends doing those bike tours, and riding bikes is just part of my daily life too. So this new bike has been a lot of fun. It's been a cool way to find and feel freedom lately. I just finished making this a couple of days ago, so I wanted to show it to you and tell you a little bit more about how I made it. So I had to find a bike that was steel. That was easy enough to do from all the bikes that I have around here. Just been collecting bikes and parts over the years, ever since my first job working at the bike shop. So this top bike is steel, which is important because I needed to weld onto it, and the fork from that bike was also steel. So The fork from the top bike used to look like this fork from the bottom bike. So you can see here that it's a tube coming down, and then these tubes are welded onto it, the tubes that go down to the fork. So I cut these pieces off to leave just this center tube from the top bike. So this was the existing tube that was coming down through the fork. And then to attach it down to the fork on the lower bike, I had this piece of pipe. This is actually from a scooter that I found in somebody's trash, and it just happened to be able to clamp on to the bottom fork. It was the exact right diameter, so it really worked out perfectly. So this was the first weld. Welded these together, had to make sure that it was really straight, because when you turn the top handlebars, that connects all the way down, and that's what turns the fork on the bottom bike for you. And then the next thing I had to do, the bottom bike's actually aluminum, but fortunately I was able to find a steel post that was the exact right diameter to fit in the bottom bike's seat post. And then from that seat post came up to the top bike, which is a steel frame, and welded that steel pipe onto the top bike right at the bottom bracket. So then the bikes were connected together. This back wheel, that's just for fun, that's not really involved. This top bike was an inexpensive full suspension bike, so this was connected with a spring before, so I just took that out and pulled up that rear triangle and just put that little wheel there just for show. So once the bikes are connected together, the next thing that I had to do was get the drivetrain put together. So I needed for my pedals from here, from the top bike, to be connected to the rear wheel. If I went in a straight shot, just straight down here, it was running into this bike's frame, so I had to reroute the chain through the bottom bike's chain wheel and through. So this is the way, cranking the top pedals on this bike powers it through like that. And to get the chain long enough, had to put the two bicycle chains together, and actually had to do that with some of the cables here too. Tied the brake cables together here to get them to be long enough. One of the other challenges has been that as you start getting higher up, your weight starts being further back. So if we look at the bottom bike seat tube, normally your seat would be here, right? So your weight would be kind of here. But as you continue up, you start getting further and further over. Your weight gets further and further over the rear wheel. So I had to move this seat as far forward as I could go. And luckily in my spare parts, I had a longer post or stem. So I was able to put a longer stem on to get my weight more over the front of the bike. But even with it like this, it still kind of wants to do wheelies if you're pedaling it too hard uphill. Let me show you what it looks like when I ride it. One of the things that I didn't realize was just how much attention I was going to get when I take this for a ride. Somebody came out to me, was walking and was saying, "Wow, that looks terrifying and fun at the same time." And I was like, "Yep, that pretty much sums it up." Thanks for watching.